Alright, Mike stopped over and we're going to work on the generator here. We're going to look into the regulator and see what we have to do. If Mike can't do anything with this one, I think there's a Chinese or Japanese one that they can modify and make this run pretty cheap. So he's over there getting some tools. When he gets over here, I'll inquire about it. Alright, yeah, shouldn't be long. Get this thing running and operating. Alright, Mike's over here. He's putting on some of the gingerbread here, the shroud, so we can run this a little longer. That helps the cooling.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this unit will not cool at all unless this piece of ducting is on here, because it actually draws the air in this direction toward me over the cylinder heads and over those cylinders through the ductwork down to the squirrel cage fan and then out this side here. So it's imperative that this is in place at least somewhat to direct the flow of air.
I was mentioning earlier, Mike, about the regulator here.
Yeah.
And if we can't figure out a cheap way of doing that, isn't there a Chinese one that you could possibly use?
Well, a company called New Age Stanford, which makes you know, a vast array of generator ends and motors and different controls and things like that. Makes a regulator. It's known as the SX460, if I'm not mistaken. It's a really basic input and output style voltage regulator that's very easily adaptable to a lot of various generators. It's interesting that it just so happens that this is an ONAN. ONAN was bought by Cummins, and now Cummins, all Cummins uses on their newer generators is New Age Stanford generator ends. So I think I've got one on my truck that I keep as a spare. So I might pull that out and just look it over, and we'll show you that in a few minutes.
Okay.
All right. Yeah,
because one of my subscribers mentioned that.
Yeah. I mean that's not the only regulator they make by any means. It's targeted more toward a smaller unit. I think you won't see it on anything better than maybe 50 or 100 kilowatts. I'm not really sure.
But at least it's a cheap solution for us, huh?
Well, it is, and you know, to buy a New Age Stanford regulator is not cheap. You know, it's I don't know, maybe $225 or maybe 125, anywhere between 150 and 250 bucks, if I'm not mistaken. But the Chinese do make a clone of it, or a copy essentially, which you can pick up relatively inexpensive. It's less than $50. Sometimes a lot less than $50.
I know. It made me wonder if it was a counterfeit, because I've seen them as low as 20 bucks.
Well, that most certainly is a counterfeit.
Yeah.
You're not going to buy anything New Age Stanford for 20 bucks. 22 bucks. So, but
that's good.
I mean, if it does the job for a time, you can keep a spare one on the shelf.
It's a solution.
We'll see. We'll look. We gotta do a little bit of checking around. We'll check the field stator here. We'll check the field rotor here. We can check the diodes, the rotating rectifier diodes on the field rotor, and go from there. I don't really remember where we left off with this, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was running, and we had something like 60 volts.
Exactly, that's what we had. 60.
It was 60 volts. Yeah. So I don't remember if we checked.
We didn't check anything really.
Yeah, the regulator output. I mean, if it has some output, then there's hope for it.
Right.
Usually if the output is there, it's unstable or it fluctuates a lot. Maybe it's just a corroded connector somewhere. There's not very many of them, but it's worth checking everything before we condemn it. So,
If not, we got a nice little mouse house.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, eventually the goal with this is going to be completely gut the control system and upgrade it to something, I guess, non-automatic for your installation or for your application, where we don't really need automatic starting. We don't need engine monitoring so much. So really all we need is a voltage regulator and a start button. So
right.
That's going to be about it.
Let's get working, buddy.
All right.
All right, hooked us up a fuel system here. Yeah. And what'd you find, Mike?
Something pretty startling, and probably something we should have realized the first time we ran this. I had the regulator lifted off here.
Let me get ran this side here.
Check out the wiring.
There we go.
And I yanked on the wires to kind of free them up. And I found this. A mouse nibbled clear through this wire. And this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is the voltage sensing, or one of the two voltage sensing lines from the output of the generator. So the regulator essentially had no input, therefore there was no output to the field. So I'm just looking around at everything. I noticed not only that, now this was all underneath the tray. This control tray slid back like this.
Right.
And this was all beneath the tray, this broken wire. And this one, which is also chewed up, which is, I don't think it's, looks like it's going to the output as well, but it is not, it's not related to the regulator. This might be the charging output from the field, or for the charging resistor down on the side. But that's really not a concern. So pretty much what I'm going to do now that we see how bad this really is cut everything out of here and just make up a new small voltage regulator harness. 2 wires from the output to feed the regulator, 2 wires to the field, F1 and F2. So we're just going to start from scratch, which is what we probably should have done at the first.
Right. Well, we really didn't even look into it, you know.
Right.
We're concerned about getting the engine running.
Yeah, it could have been a dangerous situation though, so that's why, you know, I'll don't follow what we do here. Always go through all the wiring completely if you're not sure, because I mean, I think the gen had about 60 volts output, and that was just residual, if I'm not mistaken. And that means the other end of this wire had probably about, maybe it was 30 volts. I think it was 60 volts line to line, so 30 volts line to neutral, which still that'll wake you up. You know, you can definitely feel that. You know, it might not have hurt you, but you would know it. So always be. Anytime you get a piece of equipment or a generator, be it anything, in this condition, just gut it. Just tear it down and start from scratch, because it's not worth tracing down little broken wires like this, bad connections. I mean, you know, I don't know how I would have even thought that was, you know, something you could actually try to work. It's all going to be ripped out, contacts cleaned, connectors cleaned, and new quick wiring harness made up. So, and then we can see if this regulator will put out. Right.
Don't do as we do, do as we say, right?
That's right.
All right. All right, let's do something.
All right. Let me just let the carb bowl fill up. Oh, where's the starter button? Where everything is. We're out of gas.
Yeah. Well, that was good. We got voltage out of it, right? 203 volts.
203 volts. Yeah, I have the voltage adjust pot turned down, or rather to a midpoint. So that's good. That means the regulator's working. So it just needs to be tweaked. But we are in fact
out of gas.
Out of gas.
All right. Let me get some fuel.
Okay.
That's a good sign, buddy.
It is.
All right, buddy. Take 2.
All right.
just got done eating dinner. Sun's going down over here, and ready to pack this in for the night. What did we learn, Mike?
Well, the conclusion is that the engine seems to run pretty well, and the voltage regulator also seems like it's good. We didn't put a load on it, but I think we're at the point where we can start tearing it down, getting it cleaned up, getting it painted, doing whatever, and then once it's painted, we'll focus more on the running of the engine. We'll get the timing verified where it needs to be. We'll put the natural gas equipment on it, and we'll go from there. We'll start looking into the starting and the controls for it, because here's the old stuff here. This is literally pretty much all scrap metal here. I have no intention of saving any of this, really. It's just, for one thing, it's not worth trying to clean up and trying to make reliable as it is. And even if you really wanted to restore it, you could, but it's not required for what you want to do. We can come up with a simple charging system. The necessities for the battery charging circuit are there. That is the dropping resistor and the winding inside the generator end. So we can get you a basic charge set up there for the battery and your voltage regulator. And you'll have yourself a good generator. It's ugly right now, but it'll be a nice unit when it's done.
Yeah. Well, at least now we know we have something that'll run and is worth putting some time into. So
right.
I can start painting it up and everything a little bit at a time.
Yep.
So that's all we're gonna do tonight, and we'll see you in the next one. Say goodbye, Mike.
Take it easy.
All right. Later, guys.